I wasn't able to accept it myself because I felt this need to prove myself to others, as well as prove other people wrong. Hello and welcome to another episode. Not only any other episode, but the 10th episode of the Perspective Project podcast. This is your host, Anushka. And before diving into what I want to speak and reflect upon in this episode, I want to apologize for being MIA for the past month and a half. I don't even know how long it has been, but it has been long. So, without any further ado, let's dive right in. What I've been thinking for the past few weeks is how we live in a digital age where we are exposed to the lives of so many people, which is just not normal for our brain to comprehend, right? I can barely remember what it was like to live without social media. But before that, we had such a small circle of people, and we only got updates about how a person is living based on having a real interactive conversation with a specific person that we did know. Social media is such a thing that we have access to literally anyone on this planet. And when you are so used to seeing how other people are living their lives, what they are doing professionally, what hobbies they are trying to invest their time in, it sometimes messes with your brain and it becomes hard to listen to your own inner voice. That is supposed to be the compass of your life. And that is exactly what I think happened to me. All I wanted to do was make a decision about where I wanted to end up in my life and what direction to choose. And that is why it is really important to sit with yourself and have an honest conversation about what you're doing and where you're going. I was avoiding having this one-on-one time with myself because I knew if I held myself accountable, I had to make a decision about where I wanted to go. These conversations are quite fucking necessary because if you don't give that time to yourself to unlock everything that is going on inside yourself, you will never really get in tune with what you truly enjoy. If you have been a loyal listener, you might know that I have felt lost in my career multiple times. To be very honest, the answer was right in front of me, but I was refusing to accept it because it didn't align with what I had been doing in my life previously. To give you a little context, I have a bachelor's degree in life sciences and biochemistry. There was a part of me that never really felt satisfied or fulfilled. On one hand, there's this one field that I've invested so many years of my life in. And so switching things up after getting a bachelor's degree can feel pretty terrifying. I have been called indecisive. And that is really odd for me because I have never been indecisive about any of the decisions. I always knew what I wanted and I always had a sense of what feels right to me. But this choosing a path for a career felt like such a do or die situation. I think it has been around 8 to 9 months since I've graduated. And well, delaying making a decision did not really help. After graduation, when you literally don't have a schedule to follow, and it is upon you about what you want to do next. I didn't want to just rush into anything Because sometimes that leap of faith cannot really be aligned with who you are as a person and what your interests are. And I wanted to really give it time and not dive into anything without giving a good amount of thought, and left the decision to be made by future me. 5 months went by and I was like, okay, this is getting a little too serious. Because all of my other college friends, they have something to do. And I was just there where I was when we graduated. And in the first 4 to 5 months, it felt like, okay, it's fine. It felt like a vacation to me, to be very honest, because after 3 years of so much hard work, I needed that vacation. But after that 5-month mark, I was like, okay, if we don't make a decision soon, we're gonna be and things are gonna get really out of hand. That is when the pressure sort of got to me, and I might have told people that I would very much like to get a master's in science. I know. It's like I get out of something and then I get back into it. And to be very honest, at that point, it made sense to me. It made sense to literally everybody else. Because it felt like a straight path, right? I mean, that is what is expected. I started applying for all of these entrance exams, but I found myself waiting till the very last minute of registering for those exams, because internally I knew I didn't want to do that, but it was just really deep down within me. So I kept ignoring it. I kept ignoring it until one day I was like, can I be honest? I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I'm serious enough about this. But I wasn't able to accept it myself because I felt this need to prove myself to others, as well as prove other people wrong. Especially those who judge a book by its cover, if you know what I mean. There are just certain unsaid expectations that gets attached to you when you get into science. It's like, oh, you must be a smart person. Oh, that is so cool what you're doing. All of these things were at the back of my mind. I felt like I would be leaving a certain personality of mine that I had developed over the past few years if I decided to switch. Then there came a point where it was like, do I want to live a life proving others wrong, constantly trying to prove my worth? Or do I want to live a life that truly aligns with me, doing something that I find fun, doing something that I'll actually be good at? It was like a wake-up call for me. Eventually, I did find something that was a good match for me. So based on all the practical experience that I had, the skill sets that I have, it didn't make sense for me to force myself into the science world. And it's not like I cannot do it. I definitely can do it, and I did it. So I literally have nothing to prove to other people. All I wanted was to prove it to myself that, okay, I'm not leaving it because I cannot do it. I'm leaving it because it's my choice. I think what kept me stuck for so long is the fact that, as I said, I was thinking a lot about the consequences that will occur if I didn't choose getting a master's in science, how it would affect other people, how other people would see me. All of it had nothing to do with me, what I truly wanted. Basically, I was living my life for other people and what they expected or wanted from me. All of those thoughts, fears, leaving something so familiar and comfortable and taking a risk and getting into an unknown territory, the uncertainty of it all, it kept me stuck. And I was like, I just have to make the right decision, because if I don't, there is definitely something negative going to happen. That kept me in a decision paralysis for months. Then I realized that there's no right decision. There's no right choice. You can never know how a decision that you make is going to unfold. There's only the best decision, the best choice that is based on who you are as a person, what matters to you, what your desires are, and what your interests are. I imagined if the decision I made would not affect anyone, if I had a free pass, what would I like to do in that case scenario? What decision would I make in that situation? And seeing your life that way gives you a sense of freedom. The answer was right there. I just wasn't in the right mind to fully embrace it. Now, the decision has been made. I know what I want to do next, which is very unlike me. I'm kidding. But knowing the best decision and knowing the best choice doesn't automatically mean that all's well in the world. You have to back that decision with the appropriate and required actions. Now that is the hurdle that I think most of us get stuck in. I know that I so confidently made a video on consistency and discipline. If you haven't checked that out, please tune in to the last episode. That is episode 9 of the Perspective Project podcast. I'm one of those people who has such big ambitions, but working towards those ambitions and working towards those goals really, I just find it really difficult to get myself to sit and actually work towards something. And I often daydream about what it would be like to live my ideal life and achieve all of my wildest dreams. But it will only stay a dream if I don't actually work towards it. The hard work, the climb, having to sit for hours and use your brain sounds so tedious and boring. I kept avoiding the work. I kept avoiding the hard work, which honestly kept me stuck in a really lifeless loop. I have spent years watching how to stay motivated for long periods of time and just how to make studying or working fun. And no amount of those videos are actually going to help you, if I'm being very honest. Because I watched it, I felt like I was being productive, when in reality, it was just passive productivity. I was just busy. And I was acting as if I was doing something productive, but it wasn't. What helped me the most was very, very simple. Putting on a timer for 1 hour, 2 hours, based on your attention span. Putting your phone screen down. Really getting honest with yourself and promising yourself to focus on completing the task at hand. Believe me, it works. Because how do you think the script for this episode was made? It didn't write itself. So, I think this was it from my side, you guys. Thank you for tuning in once again, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.